Liminal spaces are those in-between spaces that exist on the edge of something else. They are spaces that are neither here nor there, but somewhere in between. Lack of identity. One of the defining features of a liminal space is a lack of identity. We always feel like we've been in the liminal place but can never exactly pinpoint where it is. These spaces are often undefined and lack a clear purpose. They can be transitional spaces, such as hallways, waiting rooms, or stairwells, or they can be abandoned or forgotten spaces like an arcade, amusement park, or a playground. This lack of identity is part of what makes liminal spaces so fascinating. They exist outside of our usual experience and can challenge our expectations. Childhood reminiscence. Ever notice that the first thing that pops into mind when looking at a liminal space is usually childhood? Whether it's an abandoned playground or a dentist waiting room, childhood comes to mind. This is because liminal spaces are usually places you loved to go to as a kid. It reminds you of something you used to love and maybe still love. It's just different now since you aren't as happy anymore. Transitory nature. Liminal spaces are also often transitory in nature. They are spaces that exist between two states, such as the transition from outside to inside, or from public to private. These spaces are not intended to be inhabited, but rather to be passed through. This transitory nature is what makes liminal spaces so fascinating. They are spaces that exist outside of our usual experience, but are essential to our daily lives. Uncertainty. Liminal spaces are also characterized by uncertainty. They are spaces that are not clearly defined and do not have a clear purpose. They can be disorienting and confusing, which can be both exciting and unsettling. Social significance. Liminal spaces also have social significance. They can reflect the values and priorities of a society, as well as its history and cultural identity. Liminal spaces can also be sites of social and political struggle, such as the borders between nations or the spaces where marginalized communities gather. Liminal spaces are liminal because of their lack of identity, transitory nature, uncertainty, and social significance. These spaces exist on the edge of something else and are essential to our daily lives, even though we may not always be aware of them. Understanding what makes a space liminal can help us appreciate the importance of these in-between spaces and the role they play in shaping our experience of the world.